Now let's talk about model evaluation metrics. So in this section, we are going to talk about some of the metrics for evaluating a model. Okay. So we are going to talk about business metrics and foundation model evaluation metrics. Let's start with the business metrics for evaluation. So these are the metrics which are related to the business performance, which we need to know about evaluation of a model. Okay. So whenever we have a model, it's going to create some business impacts, right? So for that, we need some metrics to evaluate it. So the first one being the customer satisfaction. Okay. Customer satisfaction is basically it's based on the feedbacks. Okay. In some of the applications you might have seen, like after using the application, it would ask you for like how much you recommend it to others, or did you liked it or not, and give a rating on the application, right? So based on that, the customer satisfaction is decided. Okay, and it's generally decided in in a score which we say net promoter score. Okay, so this net promoter scores give the model a score based on the feedbacks it takes from the customers. Next is the ARPU, okay, which is the average revenue per user. So from the name itself, it's very clear, like the average revenue your model is generating per user. Okay, so whenever a model is used, it's going to generate some revenue. Okay, so the average of that will be our ARPU, and this ARPU is an important term for the exam. Next is the conversion rate. So conversion rate talks about uh, the actions which have been taken by the customers when the new AI model is running. Okay, so it likes how many of new users have come up and did a sign up there, and how many of new purchases have been made using uh, the model which we are uh, evaluating. So this is the conversion rate. Next is the cross domain performance. So this is like you have a model, you have created it for a custom specific case, you have trained it for a custom case. But now, if you want to test it in a different case, so how well your model performs in that different case or a different domain, okay, or how much of extra efforts you have to put to make it ready for a cross domain working. Next is the efficiency. Efficiency is like how much cost effective your model is, right? So cost effective means how much of a resource it is using, because like how much resource it is using, based on that the cost will be there, right? So how much resource it is using, and if there is any wastage of resources, right? So this talks about the efficiency of your model. So from the exam perspective, remember few terms like this ARPU, NPS, conversion rate, and cross-domain performance. These are few important terms for the business metrics from the exam perspective. Let's talk about some of the foundation model evaluation metrics now. So these metrics are actually like automatically generated. Okay, yeah, from the model, it it's automatically generated metrics. Okay, so first is the BLEU, which is the bilingual evaluation under study. Okay, so what it does is uh, it compares your model translation versus a human translation. Okay. So let's say in the validation phase of your model. So what is there in the validation phase? We have the input and output. Okay. So input is like whatever the input we are going to give to the use to the model, and the output is there can be two outputs. One would be the model output and one would be the expected output. Expected output would be like human generated output. Okay. So we have a comparison in between both. Okay. So now this BLEU will be doing this comparison between the human output and the model's output. And then it will give a score on that, like how much it matches. Okay. And the BLEU is specifically for translation. Okay. It can evaluate some other things, but mostly it's used for translation only. Okay. Now, similarly, we have the ROUGE, which is Recall Oriented Understudy for Gisting Evaluation. This is similar to BLEU. Okay, it also compares like the summary generated via a model and the summary written by a human. Okay, it compares them. Okay, so just remember like BLEU is mostly for translation and ROUGE is mostly for summarization. Now the third one is the BERT, which is bidirectional encoder representation from transformer. We don't need to remember these full forms. Okay. In the exam, mostly you will be seeing these terms like BLEU, ROUGE, and BERT like that. Okay. So BERT, how it is different from BLEU and ROUGE is in the earlier two, what we used to do is the model was evaluated on specific word by word. Okay. The similarity between a human translation and the modern translation word by word. Okay. But that's not a good way to do it, right? Because human translation can have a different word for meaning the same thing, but the model translation can use a different word, but the meaning would be the same. Okay. So in case of BLEU and ROUGE, for such things, we will get a not that good score. But BERT will not directly compare the words, but the meaning of the word. Okay. So that's why it said like it talks about the context and the semantic meaning of the model's output and the human's expected output. So that's why BERT is different from these two. The next one is the perplexity. So perplexity is talking about the language fluency of your model. So it's like how much language it knows, how much of grammar it knows about that language. So that if it knows a good grammar and all, right? So it would be able to predict next words more easily, right? So perplexity is actually how much good understanding of the language the model is having. Okay. And it's actually scored in a way like how much surprise your model gets on getting the next word. Okay. Surprise means it is expecting the next word to be like a range of this 10 words. Okay. But some another word come from there. So it gets more surprised, right? So with that, we do the scoring of the perplexity.